Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. There was a bit of a fight actually yesterday, but it wasn't Jake Paul against Nate Diaz. It was between two women, a real fight, I should say a real boxing match. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, but neither of them I really consider to be a boxer. Jake Paul is a novice boxer. Nate Diaz is an MMA guy, and was having his first boxing contest. But real boxers, people who've paid their dues and have skills. This was a women's fight between Heather Hardy, 41 years old, and the champion Amanda Serrano. Serrano is 35, Puerto Rican, and she is currently and is still the undisputed featherweight champion because she not only beat Hardy but beat her up over 10 rounds. But that doesn't really tell the whole story. Look, let's go through you probably know a bit about Amanda Serrano anyway. She's currently, now she's 45 wins with 30 KOs, 2 defeats, both on points, and 1 draw. You'll probably know her, even if you're not interested in women's boxing, for when she fought Katie Taylor back in 2022 last year. Only April of last year, it seems longer, but since then she's come back with 3 wins, including the one against Hardy, which prior to that she beat Erica Cruz Hernandez, who had, I think she was 15-1, and Amanda beat her over 10 rounds, which was a unanimous decision. Prior to that she beat the undefeated Sarah Mahfoud, who was 11 wins, no defeats, no draws. She beat her unanimously, and she picked up a unanimous decision over Heather Hardy. Like I say, 41 years old Heather. Now Heather herself was a former champion. She held the WBO, I think it was the featherweight title. Was it featherweight or super bantam? I can't remember. I think it was the featherweight. Yeah, because she won it off Shelley Vincent. Or no, it was a vacant title. She beat Shelley Vincent for the vacant title and then lost it. Who to? Amanda Serrano. But that was back in 2019. That was a unanimous decision as well. And since then, she had only fought, I think, about 3 or 4 fights in 5 years or something. She was more or less semi-retired, and one of those was a unanimous 8-round decision against Jessica Camara, Canadian girl. So coming into this, you thought, nah, she ain't beating Serrano. In fact, she's probably going to get stopped. Well, I tell you what, Serrano did everything she possibly could to stop Heather, and actually came close to stopping her a few times, but didn't, because Heather Hardy showed immense courage, immense determination, immense fortitude, an iron jaw, and from the word go, she was under the cosh though, because orthodox fighter Heather, Amanda is southpaw. In the first minute of the first round, Amanda clocked her. I think there was a right hook in there, and a backhand as well. And body punch. There was a body punch early on, very early on, first 30 or 40 seconds, that really took some of the wind out of Heather. And she had a hellish first round because she was basically being beaten up. Even though these are 2-minute rounds, she was getting her arse handed to her. And this kind of continued. Second round, third round, more of the same. I didn't at any point give Heather any rounds, although I wanted to because she was being so courageous. Second and third round, she was industrious. She was coming forward. She was trying to throw punches. She couldn't quite seem to get the right angle on the southpaw Serrano, but she was kind of rushing in. It was all a little bit unscientific, and basically Amanda was clocking her. But it wasn't until the 4th round that she really started to get beaten up again, and it was beginning to look pretty grim for her. She was shaken, shake, rattle and roll was the tactics from Serrano. Left hook, sort of right hooks, backhands, left crosses and punches to the body. And Heather was beginning. By the second round, she had blood coming out of her nose or her mouth, or both probably. And there were some swellings by the 4th round. There were some swellings around the eyes, which were beginning to look nasty. And you began to get a bit uncomfortable by that 4th round watching this. I know the commentators, one of whom was Darren Barker, said, this is getting too one-sided. The corner might have to start to have a look at this. But this was for all the marbles. This was the undisputed featherweight title. So, and Heather, this was her last chance. She's 41 years old. She was pretty much semi-retired up to this point. She weren't going out unless it's on her shield. But in the 4th round, she was getting battered. Fifth round, I mean, every round was won by Serrano. Heather just desperately trying to get in close, trying to land her own punches. At no point did she rattle Serrano at all. Serrano did pretty much did as she wished. I mean, Heather would come in and cuff away, but Serrano would easily just sort of glide out of the way if she needed to, or she was having the last word with the punches. The last punch in any kind of exchange probably belonged to Serrano. The rounds were ticking by. Again, they're 2-minute rounds, so they zip by. And it was in the ninth round that I mean, by this point, Heather Hardy's face was a mask of blood, and the doctor had a look at her in the ninth round. Let her go out, and she was winning over the fans because she was banging her gloves together. You know, come on, let it go. There was drool coming out of her mouth. She couldn't feel her swollen lips, and she didn't give a damn. Stormed forward again after Serrano. In the same round, the ninth round, there was a clash of heads, which guess who came off worst on that one? It was Heather Hardy. Blood coming off her scalp, running down her face, making it look even more dramatic. Again, banging her gloves together, screaming, you know, come on. The crowd loved it. The crowd were on their feet. And I've never seen, well, very rarely have I seen a crowd react to such a one-sided pasting as that, because make no mistake about it, Serrano won every minute of this fight, but you know, the crowd just loved Heather for her sheer blood and guts, and yep, she made it to the end of the round. And in the 10th round, more of the same from Serrano. There was I can't remember what it was. I think it was a backhand, maybe a left cross that made Heather's legs buckle. She sort of fell backwards, again regained her composure, didn't stop trying for a single second of this fight. All the skills, all the skillful stuff, all the scientific stuff was coming from Serrano, who didn't need to show the blood and guts because she was winning every minute of every round. But the crowd, as much as I'm sure they admire Amanda Serrano as a fighter, and there was plenty to admire with her, they were sort of won over by Heather Hardy's never say die attitude, and she made it to the end, lost every round. I think one of the judges had it 99-91 maybe. The other two had it 100-90. I had it 100-90. There were a couple of rounds where Amanda wasn't quite so dominant, but if I gave Heather a round, it would be a sympathy round, to be honest with you. So yeah, Serrano moves on. Like I say, she's now 45 wins, 30 KOs, 2 defeats and 1 draw, 35 years old. She did not look in any shape or form shot or past it or anything of that description. Heather, maybe it's time to retire now. She was semi-retired before, but after a beating like that, she's got nothing to prove. She held a belt back in the day, 4 years ago. Why carry on? 41 years old. Put your feet up, love. My God, you've earned it. But have a look at this fight. Tell me what you think. It is a very, very good fight, and certainly gives a lie to the notion that women's boxing is not entertaining. It most certainly is. I know the talent pool is less and a bit more shallow and so on and so forth. I know that the skill levels are very often not up to the standard of the men's, and the matchups aren't as great. But sometimes you get matchups like this, and it is entertaining. Trust me. Go and have a look at this fight if you can find it. So yeah, comments below if you've got any. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the like button if you don't mind, spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing, and we will chat again soon. In the meantime, bye for now.